I gave a paper yesterday, presented a paper, and my paper was about middle school students learning decimals and doing that using what are called erroneous examples, so errors that students make in solving decimal problems, and then using that as a mechanism to help them learn, have them explain what the errors are, fix what the errors are, and it sounds fairly basic, but it's not something that's been researched very much. There's not so many studies. And so that's what I presented results, and we got good results. Well, it's a good question. So I think, to me, it means where we stand in terms of how people are learning today and what they need to learn with respect to particularly technology, with things moving so quickly. And I see this in my research all the time, that kids are used to using Facebook and all these online internet applications, so you have to try to teach them, I think, using the tools that they're used to using. And games, for instance, online games is a very popular thing with young people today, and I think you use these sort of 21st century technologies to help kids learn, and I'm sure many jobs in the future are going to involve these kinds of technologies and others that be the next generation. So that's what it means to me. Well, the paper that I mentioned that I presented is very central to a lot of the research I do. It's basically about tutoring systems, intelligent tutoring systems, and different ways to augment the way students learn with tutoring systems. So, for instance, the erroneous examples that I talked about, where you present errors to students and they fix them, or worked examples where they see how a problem's solved and then you ask them to self-explain. There's a lot of research that shows the value of self-explanation in students learning, and especially looking at worked examples. So that's one part of my research, and I'm also involved in what's called collaborative learning, computer-supported collaborative learning, in particular supporting students learning how to argue and debate with one another. So those are the main areas of research that I do. Well, my background before I got into educational technology was in artificial intelligence, which is something that I bring into the research that I do in educational technology. And tutoring systems, for instance, use artificial intelligence, and likewise with the argumentation research that I do, we use artificial intelligence techniques to help us analyze the arguments. So artificial intelligence is one area. I've become reasonably well-versed in educational psychology, because of course that's relevant to educational technologies, understanding the principles of learning, and particularly there's an area called an area of research where people look at principles of e-learning, different aspects of how students can learn, and what works in terms of their cognitive processes, and how you want to present information to students so that they best learn. So these are areas that are related to my work.